What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Parlay Buddy Show. We are here in the final weekend of 2022 to give you your Week 17 free premium picks. Now, before we get into this week's picks, just want to remind you of all the social media platforms you can find Parlay Buddy on. You can find us on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Reddit, and Instagram. You can also head over to parlaybuddy.com where you'll find various sports articles, profitability calculator, daily fantasy sports tools powered by statshark.com, and our full slate of premium NFL and NBA picks. And you've already found us here on YouTube, so be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Without further ado, let's get into this week's picks. The first game we're going to look at this week is the Cardinals versus the Falcons. The line for this one has been set at 41, and on that line we are taking the under. The Cardinals have hit the under 6 times this year, including 2 of their last 3 games. They have had a lot of offensive struggles as they've only scored 2 touchdowns or less in 7 of their games this year and have scored 21 points or fewer in 9 games this season. They've actually really dropped in productivity since Kyler Murray left. They've scored 20 points just once in the last 5 weeks. They do have Trace McSorley. However, he did get to chuck the ball around through 45 times last week, but in his 3 appearances so far this year, he has no touchdowns to show for it. He does have 4 interceptions and has a completion rate of just 52%. So he's not exactly what they're looking for to spark the offense, so I don't see them scoring a lot of points this week. On the other side, the Falcons have hit the under in 9 of their 15 games, including their last 4. Their offense also has been struggling mighty. They have scored 2 touchdowns or fewer in 10 games this year. They are coming off of a 9-point performance last week, which is the first time they failed to reach double digits. But their defense also allows 23.3 points per game. And with an offense that's not putting up their points, it's going to be a struggle for both sides of the ball. And honestly, I think both teams kind of are going to struggle both ways. So this game is not going to be a very high-scoring affair. I mean, unless their kickers, come out, put up 5-6 field goals each, we don't see this one going over the 41-point line. So that is why we are taking the under. The second game we're going to look at this week is the Bears versus the Lions. The line for this one has been set at 52, and on that line we are taking the under. The Bears have hit the under 5 times this year, and they have scored 3 touchdowns or fewer in 12 of their 15 games, and 24 points or less in 11 of their 15 games. Their offense struggles to put up points as they only average 20.2 points per game. However, their defense ranks 31st in the league, giving up an average of 26.2 points per game. They actually do rank last in the league in passing yards as well. This team has been struggling so much that the last time that they actually won a game, I was still 32 years old, which was back in October. They are struggling very hard lately, and the least amount of points they've given up to a team was actually against the Eagles a couple weeks back when they gave them 25 points. Other than that, teams have been just having their way with the Bears defense. The Lions have hit the under in 5 of their games this year, and they've scored 3 touchdowns or fewer in 8 of those games as well. This season, the Lions have actually been super hit or miss. There's weeks where they're putting up 30, 40 points, and other weeks they come out and drop an absolute dud. The last 2 weeks have been those dud performances. They can score, but 52 is the second highest point line that they've experienced this year. And the last time it was set this high, they actually went under as well. If you look at their playoff push that they were making, they're going to really need to make that push this week if they want to keep any hopes alive. But with a division rivalry, there's a chance, but we just don't see them scoring enough points to get this game to the over on the line. So that is why we are taking the under. The last game we're going to look at this week is the Broncos versus the Chiefs. The line for this game has been set at 45, and on that line, we are taking the under. The Broncos have hit the under on 11 of 15 games so far this season, and they have scored 3 touchdowns or fewer in all but 1 of their games. They've scored 22 points or less in 12 of 15 games, And if you watch any football or any sports coverage, you know that this offense and this team as a whole is not going anywhere. I mean, their defense is decent, but when your offense struggles to move the ball and keep possession of the ball, and your quarterback that you know, basically gambled away your future on only has 12 touchdown passes on the season, it's not looking good for them. At this point in the year, there's not much left to say that's good for them. The last time they did play the Chiefs, however, they were down 27-0, and they ended up only losing 34-28. But that's about the closest they've come to winning recently. Russell Wilson finally threw 12 touchdowns on the season, which does tie the amount of bathrooms he has in his house. So that was a pretty exciting story to follow. On the opposite side of the ball, the Chiefs have hit the under in 8 games this year, including 3 of their last 5. And they have scored 3 touchdowns or fewer in 8 games this year. They're facing a Denver defense that actually does not give up a ton of points, so they actually will struggle potentially. The Broncos defense only gives up 20.3 points per game. The crazy thing with the Chiefs this year is you might think that with the line being at 45, going under seems like it might be odd. However, the Chiefs, despite being known as an offensive juggernaut, have actually scored 20 points or more in all but one game this year, but they have not scored more than 30 in many of those games, as they've only scored that many 4 times this year. So between these two teams, it will be a tough one. You have a really good offense against a really good defense, and a really, for lack of better terms, an average offense. We'll give them a little credit, but don't want to be too mean at the end of the new year. Against an alright defense. So with the line being at 45 and the Chiefs offense not scoring as much as they usually do and playing a good defense, that is why this week we are taking the under. And that will conclude our Week 17 Parlay Buddy show. Thank you again for joining us. Be sure to check us out on all social media platforms: Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit. Head over to parlaybuddy.com to check out our profitability calculator, various sports articles, daily fantasy sports tools powered by statshark.com, and you've already found us here on YouTube, so be sure to hit that like and subscribe button for future episodes. I'm your host, Malachi David, and have a happy new year.